Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. Later in the show we'll be finding out about the Canadian city of Ottawa. I'll be speaking to Jantine Van Kregten, who represents the tourist board in the city. I'll also be sharing information from the UK European Consumer Centre about your rights as a passenger when it comes to lost luggage. But first, I'm going to be talking about a new app and website you can use to book your travel and research your travel around Europe. I'm going to be speaking to Malte Cheron, who's the COO and MD of a company called GoEuro. He's based in Germany, so the phone line gets a little bit scratchy every now and again, but apart from that, it's fine. It's a new application and website that's going to help you to have alternative travel across Europe. I have tested the app myself, and when it comes to apps like this, I always have my own little test routes I know really well. So if I put those in and I see whether it comes up with the solution that I know works well, and this one did, as opposed to the one I did last week and I mentioned briefly in the travel news, and I put my little route in and the whole thing collapsed. But this one didn't. It looks quite good. It looks really useful. And now I'm going to speak to Malte to find out more about it and why it would be useful for you if you're looking for a different way to getting across Europe this summer. Getting around Europe isn't just about flying. So how well are European countries connected by train lines, for example?
A lot better than most people realize, actually. There's not just an excellent rail network within almost every European country. And actually a lot of connections between countries, sometimes operated by local companies like Deutsche Bahn or.
Is it possible to just hop on a bus or a coach and travel Europe as well?
Absolutely. A lot of the bigger bus companies are offering cross-border travel, even if they're not advertising it much. Mm-hmm. So companies like Megabus, Flixbus, NEX, Eurolines, they're all offering international travel options in Europe. They're very attractive.
If somebody's flying across Europe, it's quite easy to just go to an airline's website. But what problems could a traveller experience if they're looking to travel across Europe without flying in any way, just by using ground transport?
Well, in some cases, of course, distances can be quite large even in Europe. So if you're going from, let's say, Lisbon to Edinburgh, not flying makes it pretty hard to find a good option. But in most cases, actually, rail and bus can be very competitive with flying, even for medium to longer distances. If you take into account the time it takes to get to an airport, to check in, wait for your plane, sometimes wait for your connection somewhere. So if you look at total travel time, rail and bus is actually very attractive compared with flying in Europe.
So how does GoEuro help somebody to plan a trip across Europe?
Essentially what we do is we show you all your travel options, rail, bus and air combined, in a single search. All you need to do is enter your starting point and your destination. And then in a single search, you get shown all the rail, bus and air connections side by side to compare.
Which countries do you cover? I mean, are there any large gaps that might cause a problem?
In Western and Central Europe, pretty much all of them, so 12 countries in total. The biggest 6 in the European Union, plus Austria, Switzerland, Czech Republic, and some lines running into neighboring countries as well. So if you're traveling anywhere between, let's say, Spain and Poland or the UK and Italy, we've pretty much got you covered.
And you do flights as well on your website?
Yes, we show flights as well. On many connections, flights, can make a lot of sense, and it very much depends on your preferences. Mm-hmm. Are you more concerned about the cost of travel or your travel time, or do you have a preference for one travel mode? So we absolutely show all 3 of them in parallel.
And travellers can book via your website or via your app, which I've tried, but I was just wondering, how do they get their tickets?
Well, that depends. For some of the partners, we send you to those websites, to the operator website itself, to then buy your ticket like you would do otherwise once you found them. Mm-hmm. But for an increasing number of operators, we actually sell tickets straight through our website and apps. So you just enter your credit card data and you get a PDF file to print out, and that's your ticket.
There are some passes available for rail travel. Can people make use of passes if they use your application to book their trip?
Well, if you mean rail passes that give you free access to any train in Europe, then of course you can still use the app or the website just as a timetable, just to find out what trains are on offer. Then there are also some passes that give you a discount rather than cover the full price. Those you can use on GoEuro as well for all the main train operators. Actually, the thing about passes is we're not so sure they're really an attractive option for most travelers anymore. Because people tend to buy them just to simplify, finding their way around, because then they don't have to deal with local train operators, for example, let's say in languages they don't understand. As soon as you've got a tool like GoEuro, you don't really need that anymore, because basically GoEuro as a tool, as a platform, gives you uniform access to all the trains you'd ever need. And you don't have to pay for the full pass, you just pay for trains that you actually travel on.
Yeah, that does seem to make more sense. Yeah. What about consumer protection? Is there any consumer protection if booking using your system?
Absolutely. And it's the same protection first of all, you're under the same protection as for anything you buy in the travel market. So when you buy a train ticket or an airline ticket, you have all your usual consumer rights vis-a-vis that operator. If the train doesn't run or if the flight's delayed, all the usual rules apply. And then, of course, if something goes wrong with your purchase on GoEuro, we also have a customer service team here that can help you get your money back, get your ticket exchanged, or whatever you need.
Do you charge a fee for your service, or are you on a commission basis?
It's mostly commission-based. There are a few markets in Europe, Spain and Italy most notably, where traditionally travel agencies charge a fee. So that's what we do there as well. But in most northern European countries and in France, we do not charge any fee. And basically the money we make is included in the ticket price like for any other travel agency on the market.
Flight tickets can be impossible to cancel if you decide you don't want to fly. Can bus and train tickets be cancelled and refunded, or are they going to be like the flight tickets and difficult to cancel?
Yes, so the same rules apply here for tickets both for GoEuro as for anything you buy directly from that specific operator. And to what extent they can be cancelled, refunded, exchanged completely depends on operators' policies and the different fare types that they offer. So some tickets offer full cancellation, fully refundable. Others, some special prices may only be available for tickets that can't be refunded. And we're offering exactly the same conditions here as the operators do themselves. We certainly let you cancel tickets through the website, though, if you've bought them through the website. So that can be a lot easier than having to go to the station and then standing in line for the counter to get your money back.
Oh, I don't like standing in line, so that's handy. When you use your app, does the software look for the best option to get from A to B? So does this mean that a user might be given an option they wouldn't have necessarily thought about?
Absolutely. And not just the single best option, because that really depends on your preferences. We let you sort by price, travel times, filter by number of stops along the way, and all kinds of parameters that will be important for you, right? So we're not trying to sell you an option that we think is the best. We actually give you the full overview of all your options and then let you choose whatever works best for you. And yes, there are very often travel options that users wouldn't think about. There's so many bus companies and train companies running parallel lines in Europe that, especially outside your home country, you're very unlikely to know them all and actually find all the options just by searching around the internet. So very often you can find a special deal or a faster connection that you wouldn't have thought about.
So who came up with the idea for GoEuro?
Our founder is a young man from India who lived in the US for a while and did what US students tend to do. They travel around Europe on a backpack. And he found that Europe has fantastic travel infrastructure. You can get anywhere on public transportation, on rail, bus, and air, and relatively cheaply too. But it can be really, really hard to find the best connections because there are hundreds of operators out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the market's very, very fragmented, very intransparent. So he decided there's got to be a better way to find the best way to travel by rail, bus, and air. And actually followed through on this and set up this company, GoEuro, and started building this product.
It sounds like he was a very clever guy because I could never come up with an application or a website. I have trouble switching things on and off. I couldn't sit there and program something.
And it isn't a trivial thing to build, absolutely, and to, partner with all the operators out there because we work on a contract basis. So we're actually official partners of all the rail, bus, and air operators that we work with. But it's a very simple idea if you think about it. And once you've got that idea, it's also very clear that it's something you absolutely want to have.
So what are the future plans for GoEuro?
We're certainly adding more operators in more countries throughout Europe. And we are still improving the app and the website on a daily basis, making it easier and easier to find the best travel options and to buy your tickets. Mm-hmm. And we've started reaching out beyond Europe. So we actually have a lot of travelers from North and South America and from Asia using GoEuro now to find their way around Europe.
Mm-hmm. So how can we find out more about GoEuro?
First of all, by using it, of course. So, we'd be delighted to have you use the website and download the apps and start using it to travel around the UK and Europe. And you can certainly find out more about us on the website itself, too, on goeuro.co.uk.
Okay, great. Thanks, Milton. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much. My pleasure.
You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com. Still to come, we're going to be talking about Ottawa, the Canadian city. But for now, we're going to go through a blog that the UK European Consumer Centre has published on the Montreal Convention. The Montreal Convention is your right as a passenger should the airline lose your checked luggage. The UK European Consumer Centre, it's just easier if I say UKECC. They've asked me if I could read the blog out, so I'm not lifting somebody's work here. They did contact me. Honest Gov. Anyway, knowing what you are entitled to and what items are covered in the event of lost luggage is important so that you are not left without compensation. Also, the strict deadlines set by the convention need to be adhered to for the right to compensation. When baggage is delayed, lost or damaged, the airline may be liable for damages under the Montreal Convention 1999. There is a maximum limit on the airline's liability